Hello everyone, welcome back. Hopefully we'll finish this cutscene this time. The intro cutscene, that would be good. Okay. Okay, fine. Alright, so we've got Ya Chuti. And Ya is just like saying hello. Kind of casualish, don't say this to people. Except maybe friends or people younger than you. But yeah, Ya Chuti, like hello Tuti. Kyo wa o dekake desu ka, which is crazily kind of polite, a bit unnecessarily polite, but yeah, kyo means today. Wa brings up the topic of today. So, and then, I think this is like a, yeah, dekakeru is a combination of the stem of deru, meaning to go out, and kakeru has lots of meanings. But yeah, dekakeru means to depart, I guess, depart and go out, to go out on a trip. And if you just use like the stem of a verb, in this case they've omitted the ru on the end, so it's just become dekake. It kind of makes it into a noun sometimes. And then he said oh at the start to add politeness for some reason, and then deska, just kind of a questioning thing. So today, kind of today, is it an outing? An outing today, kind of is literally what's going on. But yeah, obviously he's kind of saying, are you heading out today? Oh, okay. It's probably gonna. I should probably save it every time, just in case I have to go back. But yeah, and is just yes. Basically, just yes, agreeing, affirmative. Nebosuke oni-chan to bouken ni yuku no. Yeah, nebosuke is to sleep in late. It's to sleep too long, basically, or to sleep until, I guess late morning, midday sort of thing. Nebosuke. I feel like it should be nebosuke no, and just linking this noun with this noun, which is kind of a very familiar way to say older brother, or ni-chan. Yeah, very familiar, very natural, because they are, of course, family. She's not going to say "oh ni-san" unless they're not very close, and she has to show respect to him. So ni-chan's very familiar, very, very normal. Nebosuke or ni-chan. So my kind of older brother who, my late sleeping older brother. And then to in this case is like the with particle. So it's like with my late sleeping older brother. To adventure, or kind of on an adventure. Yuku no. And yuku is the same as iku, meaning to go. It's just sometimes it's yuku, sometimes it's iku. No difference, I don't think. And then no is kind of just adds explanatory nuance to the sentence. Like she could have just ended it with yuku, but it just sounds a bit kind of cold. Whereas if you say yuku no, it just kind of adds a bit of explanation, a bit of not assertiveness, just explanation. Adds explanation to it, but you can't really end with just the word, the particle no after a verb, unless you are a girl, or you want to sound feminine. Men typically don't do this. If you do, you'll sound very feminine. You're likely to get laughed at. So don't do that, unless it's kind of you mean to, and it can work, but yeah, better to avoid it really. Let's just save it. I'm going to save state it in case I have to keep... In case I miss where the end of the text box is. Okay, so we've got Banjo, which is obviously Banjo's name. Okinasai yo. Okiru is the normal verb. Okiru means to get up out of bed, basically. I think it might be interchangeable with to wake up, but sometimes, but I think it usually means to get up out of bed, not just to wake up, to get up. And then nasai added to the stem of the verb. Obviously, it would be okiru, but she wants to request Banjo to get up, and this sounds quite motherly. So with nasai added to the stem of okiru, which is oki, we've got oki nasai, and it, like I say, it sounds kind of like a motherly kind of order to a child. It's like, get up now, come on, get up now. It's sort of arguably you won't really need this, actually, or it can be used by teachers to their students, but it's not normal to say this to friends or anything, so don't. And then yo at the end, written in katakana for no reason. Well, maybe just to make it sound a bit more jagged in the sentence, maybe a bit more forceful. But yo at the end just basically adds a bit of force to what was said. Save it again. Okay, good. All right. Moshi mo chuti ga honto ni kirei nara. Okay. Well, we've got moshi mo, which I think basically moshi can come before a conditional. It's kind of optional. Personally, I don't think I've ever put moshi before a conditional. I probably should. But moshi comes before a conditional. I suppose, like I say, it's optional, and you can use it basically maybe just to show that what you're going to say is a conditional. It probably has advantages to do so. But yeah, it comes before a conditional. Chuti ga, kind of the subject marker or whatever. Honto ni, kind of an adverb of true. True or real. Honto is like true or real, and ni kind of makes it into an adverb. So truly, really. And then kirei, we've seen before, means like pleasant to look at, you know, good looking, beautiful, pretty, that sort of thing. And then nara is kind of another sort of conditional marker. It comes at the end of the conditional. So were I to say this, I'd just say this bit. I wouldn't put moshi before. But moshi and nara, they kind of do the same thing. They just indicate a conditional. So obviously it's kind of like, if Chuti is truly pretty, Sate doshite yarou ka? Honestly, I don't really know what Sate's doing here. I feel it kind of adds a vibe of well now, I think. Well now. And then do is like how. And then I figure this could be do shio, which kind of asks, how shall we act? In what way shall we act? What shall we do? What should we do, maybe? But she's gone with doshite yarou, which, you know, roughens it up, basically. I don't think it really changes the meaning, just roughens it up to sound maybe a bit rougher, basically. A bit more villainous, maybe. And then cut at the end just, you know, indicates that it's kind of a question, that she's kind of wondering out loud what to do. Okay. Are ga kimi no oni-san. Are is... it means that. And you can only really use it when the thing you're talking about is distant from both you and the listener. So that thing over there, away from both of us. Kimi no oni-san. Kimi is you, no indicates possession. So your, basically, and then Oni-san. Bottles is saying Oni-san because he's not familiar with the two of them. So he's not going to default to saying Oni-chan because it would be it would be weird at the very least. And it would probably maybe be a bit disrespectful at kind of the worst. So Oni-san. I think generally you would say san for other people's family members. Yeah, you would say san, I think. So yeah, are ga. And that's kind of, again, we've got ga here, kind of saying, is that thing over there your brother? It kind of emphasizes that yeah, I don't know really. What does it do? Oh, that's pretty creepy actually, isn't it? Look at that. Arega. Yeah, I suppose we're already talking about the topic of Banjo, of her older brother. So it's like, is that your older brother? Whereas if it was wa, it would just be like, that thing over there in the sky, by the way, is that your older brother? It just sort of loses its definiteness in a way. It just kind of, it would become a new topic. So ga works best here. Oh, okay. So doko is just the word for where. That's all it means. It kind of ties in with that ko so a do thing. Like ko is this place, so ko is that place, asoko is that place over there that neither of us are at, and doko is like, you know, what place, which place. And that ties in with all the others like kono, sono, ano, dono, you know, kore, sore, are, dore. It's like there's this consistent system of this kind of thing. So doko is like, yeah, what, where. And then mogura-san, I guess mogura is just the word for mole. And then san, you know, just adding kind of a polite sort of title, sort of, to his name. Ue desu yo. Ue desu yo. Sora no ue. So ue just means up, quite simply, or above. It can mean on. If something is obviously physically on top of something else, then it is above it, on it, up from it. So yeah, ue kind of means all of those things. In this case, it just means, you know, up there, I suppose. Up. Ue desu yo. Just yo again, adding sort of a bit of force, yeah, kind of, sort of a bit of force to it, a bit of insistence maybe, up there. And then sora no ue kind of means just up of the sky, I suppose, up in the sky, less literally, but yeah, up of the sky. Sora, of course, meaning sky there. Chigao wa. So chigao is simply the dictionary form verb of to differ, to not be in agreement, to not be correct, I suppose. So chigao simply means no, kind of, in a way. It's a verb, but people say it when they want to say no. Chigaimasu is the polite way. Chigao. So yeah, just no, basically. And then wa, again, quite a feminine way to end like a statement. Men can say this, but again, sounds quite feminine. Probably avoid it if you don't want to sound feminine. And then are wa dare. So like I was saying, are just means, you know, that thing over there. Are wa, just bringing up the topic of that thing over there. And then dare means who. So that is who, or who is that? I suppose you could reverse it for a more natural English sentence. Alia. So that's, I think that's just a noise. People say like ara, or ara, kind of, when they are a bit of surprise, a little bit surprised to see something or to notice something. She's saying alia. I don't know why it's got 3 yars with it, to be honest. Maybe it is like that, is it? And then washi yori, so than me. Chotto dake. Chotto in this case means like a tiny amount. Dake means only, so only a tiny amount. Kirei kamo. And then kirei, as we've said, is like pretty. And then kamo is a shortening of a much longer phrase, which is kamo shirenai, or the more polite way, kamo shiremasen, which means, kind of literally means, like you cannot even know. But basically it translates almost always best to simply the word probably. So when you see kamo or kamo shiranai or kamo shiremasen, you can almost always just translate it to probably. So yeah, she's like surprised, and then than me, a little bit only, pretty probably. So she might be just a little bit more pretty than me. And then we've got kya nani-san no yo. Kya is just a noise, like, I guess she's getting attacked, so she's saying kya. And then nani is what, as I'm sure you know. Sun no is a mixing of suru with no. So suru is a verb meaning to do. So what do? What will you do? What are you going to do? Or maybe even what are you doing? What do you plan to do? Nani sun no yo. And then the no is kind of, in this case, sort of requesting an explanation. Rather than explaining like it would in a statement, this is a question. So this is requesting an explanation. And then yo at the end, again, just kind of adding force. Yeah, what do you plan to do? What are you doing? What will you do? Yeah. And then omae no wakasa to kawaii-sa itadaku yo. Omae is kind of rude. It's not so bad. Like, you'll get like junior high school kids calling each other omae, and it, like, teachers won't care. It's not ideal, but it's not really swearing in certain contexts. But obviously in some contexts, like someone who is your boss or something, you can't call them omae. That would sort of be the equivalent of swearing. But anyway, omae is sort of a rude pronoun meaning you, and then no showing possession, so your. Wakasa, as we've seen, wakai is an e adjective meaning young, and basically if you change the e to a sa like this, it changes young to youth. So it sort of changes it into the noun form of the adjective. So young becomes youth, and then to here just kind of means and. So your youth and then this is doing the same thing. We've changed kawaii from kawaii to kawaisa, which is your cuteness. And then itadaku is just a verb meaning to receive. I will receive your youth and cuteness. I will receive your youth and loveliness, I suppose, is a better translation for kawaii. Kawaii often gets translated to cute, but actually it's just used for things that are like lovely or, really kind of pleasant, or cute is one use of the word. Itadaku yo just adding the force to it. So yeah, I will receive your youth and loveliness. Doshio. So doshio, kind of simply, it's kind of a phrase on its own. Just kind of means, whatever shall I do? Whatever shall we do? What can be done? Yeah. And then oi kind of means the same as in English. It's just oi. Oi translates to oi, which is quite lucky. And then dareka. And dareka, when you kind of attach ka to a question word like this, it makes it into kind of someone in this case. Or nanika is like something. Dokuka is somewhere. So yeah, dareka is someone. Maybe even anyone. But no, yeah, I'm not sure actually, but yeah, usually someone. Banjo. Okiro. Okiro is very strong. It's a very kind of imperative way of ordering someone to do something. And this is what you do with all ichidan verbs. Okiru becomes okiro. For some more examples, like taberu would become tabero. Neru, to sleep, would be nero. So you just change the ru into ro at the end for ichidan verbs. And it's very strong. Don't say that to people. But yeah. It's like, get up. And then he's like, which I guess is a stretchy kind of yawny sound. Doshita. Doshita is like how did, or in what way was acted, what happened. Less literally, yeah, just what happened. What did is quite literal. What did, how did, but yeah, what happened. And then Kazooie, just her name, Kazooie. And then yosu ga okashi wa. Yosu is basically just the kind of the appearance of the state of things, I think. Or maybe it's just the condition of a situation, the state of a certain thing. I think. Let me just have a quick look at that. Yosu. State of affairs, situation, circumstances. Yeah, okay. So just the circumstances, the things. It would be the most natural English translation probably. And then okashi means strange, not right, weird. So it's like things are weird, something's weird kind of thing, or more literally, the conditions are odd. Something isn't right. And then sugu okite. Sugu just means like immediately. And then okite, this is probably the sort of the request form of a verb that you're going to use the most, because it's not too rough. You just make any verb into the te form of itself, and it becomes kind of like a light kind of request for something. Still arguably rude if you should be using polite language and you choose to say this. That wouldn't be good. But among friends and stuff, this is perfectly fine. Okite. Again, from like a teacher to a student, this would be fine. But probably a student to a teacher, it's kind of dependent on the teacher, really. They might choose to be annoyed by this. But, they might be kind of easygoing and not really care, and, or not really mind, I should say, probably. But yeah, that's the one you're going to use most. Just use the te form of the verb, and it becomes like a request to do something. So yeah, okite, just, get up. Get up immediately. I guess I'm going to do the tutorials. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Surely you know that. Just means, hello, said during the daytime, because it's got the word nichi in it. So yeah, konnichiwa. It's a shortening of a longer phrase, I think. It was like konnichiwa ii tenki. desne or something like that. But anyway, doesn't really matter. Konnichiwa is just a greeting, means hello. Watashi wa, so I am the topic, I'm the topic. Mogura no botoruzu desu. Bottles the mole is probably the best translation, but it's mole bottles is kind of the order in Japanese. This no here doesn't show possession. He is not the mole's bottles. He is bottles the mole. Yeah. So it just links nouns together there. Oi! Okay, let me go back. The text box scrolled. I'll probably leave that there, actually. So, boku wa banjo. Boku, he's saying boku because he's like a modest young man. So that's kind of the vibe of boku. It's, yes, kind of shows modesty for males, I suppose. And then kochi wa aibo no. So kochi, meaning kind of over this way. So I guess ideally he'd kind of be gesturing at Kazooie at this point. Kochi wa, this thing here, this person here, this item here, whatever the context, you know, that word changes on the context, but this here, this aibo means one's sort of partner, basically. Yeah, I think you don't really need more of an explanation. Aibo is partner, and then no here is just going to link it to another noun. Kazooie to iimasu. So this is Kazooie. No, this, sorry, is my partner. And then you is a verb meaning to say. But it also kind of has this meaning of to be called. Like if you say to you, or in this case the polite form to iimasu, it basically means that they are called whatever you've attached to. So this, my partner, it's kind of weird, it's kind of linking. This called Kazooie the partner. Is kind of a clunky English translation, but yeah, obviously it's saying this is my partner. She's called Kazooie. Something like that. Okay. Kawatta aibo wo tsurete iru nda ne. Kawatta is strange because, well, it literally is. It literally means strange, but it's a weird word because it kawaru means to change, for something to change. But when it's past tense like this, it can obviously be the past tense of to change. It can mean changed, but it often means weird. Kawatta. It means strange, weird, odd, that kind of thing, when in the past tense. Or it can mean that when in the past tense. So he's saying, kawatta aibo. Strange partner, and then tsureru, I believe, is to kind of lead someone. It's to lead someone somewhere, or to go with someone, or maybe in this case to accompany. But yeah, tsurete iru. I think we kind of went over a bit of present continuous tense last time, didn't we? Maybe. But yeah, all you do to get present continuous is you take the te form of the verb, in this case from tsureru to tsurete, and then iru, add iru to it. And so it is sort of like you are in a state of leading a strange partner. And then ndane, that's kind of funny. Kawatta aibo wo tsurete iru ndane. Tsurete iru ndane. I feel like this just kind of has a bit... This is kind of that inquisitive language again, maybe. Kawatta aibo wo tsurete iru ndane. And then ne, as I'm sure you know, ne just kind of says, aren't you? It just kind of rhetorically seeks agreement at the end of a statement. Kawata aibou wo tsurete irun da ne. Yeah, without getting too bogged down in it, it's just an odd partner you are leading around, aren't you? And then I guess he's going to say banjo here. Banjo. Okay. Ryuku. Ryuku is, unfortunately, the word for rucksack or backpack. Ryuku. I think they just... I don't know why it's called ryuku, actually. I think they might have just butchered the spelling from English into katakana, and so it became ryuku instead of rucksack. But I don't know. Anyway, it's backpack. And this ryuku no naka no kazooie wa. So the topic of kazooie, of inside of your backpack. Yeah, the topic of kazooie. Hanashi ga dekiru no desu ka? So hanashi is like a conversation or a discussion. Hanashi ga dekiru is like the potential form of suru. So it's like, can it do conversation? Can it do discussion? Can it talk? Less literally. No desu ka? And then that no is just, again, requesting an explanation, just sort of explanatory language. Desu ka, just a polite kind of question-ending thing. Just realised my mic was... gain was insanely high, so that's kind of annoying, actually. Oh, well. So yeah, can the kazooie and in the inside of your backpack, can it do conversations, discussions? Okay. Okay. Ara. So that's just kind of surprise, obviously, or shock at his words, at what he said. Shitsure ne megane-kun. Shitsure kind of means, literally, it kind of means to lose proper conduct, to lose proper conduct. But what it kind of less literally means is, rude, to be rude. Which kind of works, if you lose proper conduct, then it means you've sort of acted you've displayed poor conduct, which means you've kind of been rude, I suppose. So ne, again, sort of rhetorically seeking agreement. So you're rude, aren't you? And then megane-kun. Megane is glasses, and then kun is kind of a title for young, like boys and stuff. It's like for young boys, like inferior males usually. Megane-kun. So she's talking down to him, kind of, and calling him glasses boy, I suppose. Or does she call him goggles in English? I think she calls him goggles, doesn't she? I don't know. And then chanto shaberemasu wa. Chanto just means like properly, assuredly, kind of confidently, or properly. Did I say properly? I think I already said properly. Yeah, chanto, and then shaberu is to speak. It's kind of a bit more concerned with the mechanics and the linguistic side of talking than hanasu, I think. Hanasu is more to do with discussing and conversing, whereas shaberu, I think, is about speaking. And this is potential form. Shabereru. Shabereru makes it potential. And putting mas instead of ru at the end just makes it polite. Shaberemas. So properly can speak, and then wa. Again, just kind of a feminine sentence endy thing. So properly can speak wa. Well, it's not really doing anything, but yeah. ところで、騒がしかったけど、そこで何があったんだい? Oh, okay, I've read that wrong. 何があったんだい, I think. ところで basically just means by the way. It's sort of when you want to bring up kind of a new topic of conversation, sort of when you're discussing something else, maybe. But yeah, it kind of just means by the way. Sawagashi means to be kind of boisterous, loud. What's the word? Sure, there's a good word for this. Yeah, just like noisy, riotous, maybe. And to make it past tense, to make all E adjectives past tense, you change the last E, basically, sawagashi, you change it into katta, and that makes it past tense. So sawagashikatta is the past tense. So it was riotous. Kedo means kind of just... Kedo is often used as just kind of a softener. It just kind of softens the end of the sentence, makes the speaker sound a bit less accusatory or a bit less certain of themselves, which it's just very natural. It just doesn't accuse anyone else too much of anything, or it doesn't sound too assertive. So it often just kind of softens statements. So 騒がしかったけど、外で, did I read that wrong before? 外で, Soto is basically outside, anywhere outside of a building, or just outside the outdoors, I guess, is Soto. De is used in this case to show that a verb happened at a location. It's often used like that. So Soto de... Oh, that's kind of weird, actually. Because the verb is aru, which simply means to exist. So I feel that that's kind of... This is a bit of an exception case where you just need to use de, because he's asking, nani ga attandai? It's like, what existed? What existed here? Is, again, very literal, but it's kind of like, what happened out here? What happened out here? So yeah, nani ga aru, nani ga atta. Kind of probably better translates to, well, nani ga atta anyway, probably better translates to what happened rather than what existed. And yeah, usually with question words, you have to use ga. You can't bring up a question word as a topic because it just doesn't make any sense. Like if I said, nani wa atta, it would be like, what happened? Which isn't a question. If you think of that as not a question. What happened to me? Like that sounds ridiculous. It doesn't work at all, does it? It's just wrong. So you have to use ga with question words. Nani ga attandai? This un is, again, sort of requesting an explanation. And then dai at the end is kind of just a bit of a funny kind of way to... I don't know. It's kind of a funny, sort of friendly-ish kind of way to say da. Nani ga attanda? Nani ga attandai? Just kind of maybe adds a little bit of silliness to it that makes it sound a bit friendly. Is my understanding of it. But yeah, anyway. Oh, okay. それに僕の妹のチューティーを知らないかい? それに basically means to that. To that. And what that means is to what I've just said. That refers to what has just been said. And so sore ni is like in addition to that. To that, I want to ask this. To that, in addition to that, this, you know, this information or whatever. So it basically just means and or also. Boku no imoto no. So my sister Chuti. So this no here shows possession of my sister. And this no here just links little sister with Tuti. So Tuti, my little sister. And then shiranai is the negative of shiru, which means to know. So shiranai is asking him, do not you know my little sister Tuti? Or maybe it means, do not you know what has happened to my sister Tuti? I think he's asking if he doesn't know his sister, but yeah, I might be wrong. とっても醜い魔女のグランチルダがやってきて、とっても totemo basically just means very, and I feel like this small tsu here just adds a bit of exaggeration to it. とっても just adds a bit of force, bit of emphasis to the very. So very minikui. that's a good one. Mi is the stem of the verb miru, which means to look, to see, to watch. And if you attach nikui to the stem of a verb, it means it's difficult to do. So it's like difficult to look at. So a very difficult to look at magical woman, which is a witch. Obviously, majo is witch, magical woman, majo. So a very difficult to look at witch grunty. This no here is just linking this noun to the name. Majo no granchiruda ga yatte kite, or yatte kuru, is just a way of saying kuru, which means to come. I don't know why they say yatte kuru, but they do. And honestly, I don't think they know either. It's just they just say yatte kuru or yatte kite in this case because we want more information to come afterwards, so we can use the te form to show that the sentence isn't over, and then we can continue with more information afterwards. So that's the only reason it's in te form here, is so that the sentence can continue on. You know, and just out of interest, you can also say something is easy to do by attaching yasui to the stem of the verb. But I don't think miyasui is a very... Miyasui isn't... I don't think it's a verb that translates to beautiful. But minikui is a verb that translates to kind of ugly. So a very ugly, very difficult to look at witch gruntilda came. We've got more information coming. 彼女をさらっていってしまったんです。彼女 just means her or she. In this case, we've got an object marker, so we know that the verb is going to be done to her, so it means her in this case, referring to Banjo's little sister. And sarau means to kidnap, basically. Yeah, sarau means to abduct, I guess, or to kidnap. Saratte itte. And this itte is the te form of iku. Basically, it's just combined together to say abducted went. So she abducted her and went away. It can be temporal or spatial. In this case, it's spatial. It means she went away from this place. But it can also be temporal, which we'll probably see later on anyway. So I'll wait until we get to that. But yeah. And then shimao, added onto the te form of a verb, can show that something is undesirable. A can't remember if we saw that in part 1. But yeah, so this is not a desirable thing that any of us want to happen. So we can say shimao to show that it kind of, it's not desirable. Yeah, we don't really do that in English. We would just precede the statement with unfortunately. But yeah, that's how it works. And then obviously shimatta, that's past tense. That's all that's happened. Shimao has become shimatta because it's past tense. Un for explanation, and then des is just a politer fire, if you like, at the end of the sentence. Okay. That's kind of unfortunate, really. I started to cut off the hiragana there, but ochitsuki nasai. Ochitsuki nasai. Okay, ochitsuke. Of course it is. Ochitsuki nasai. So ochitsuku is kind of, it means to calm down. I just want to check the kanji for this. I'm fairly sure it's like, yeah, okay, ochitsuku. So it means kind of to, I don't know. Don't really want to get too literal with it. But, you don't really need to worry. But yeah, ochitsuku just means to calm down. Again, we've got this kind of motherly way of talking to a child. Ochitsuki nasai. Just, calm down. Mitomo nai. I saw that in Zelda, I'm sure. Shameful, indecent. Mitomo nai. So, unacceptable, I think. This is not on, I think. This is unacceptable, I think, is probably a better translation. Chuti wa atai tachi ga. Okay. I think atai is just, it's just a way of referring to oneself. It's a first person pronoun. I guess it's womanish. I guess it's feminine. So chuti wa atai tachi. Tachi is just a pluralizer. So atai means I, tachi means we. And just as a note, the pronoun that means I does not have to match all of the members of the party. So you don't have to say like watashi tachi because Banjo's a boy. I'd suggest he doesn't want to say atai for himself, but it doesn't matter for pluralizers. When you attach tachi, you can just use a pronoun that's suitable for yourself and then add tachi to pluralize it to mean we. I remember a colleague of mine thought that you had to use a pronoun that matches all members of the party, but it doesn't. You just choose one for yourself, and tachi pluralizes it to mean we. Then we've got taskeru, which simply just means help. And yeah, there's no like future tense in Japanese really, so you can just use dictionary form. Dictionary form can show habitual actions or it can show future tense. So there's no, you don't have to say we will help her. You just use dictionary form. Atai tachi ga taskeru wa. So we will help Tuti. And then de doko ni itta ka wakaru. Yeah, de I feel like just kind of means like so. I think it does kind of have that vibe as well. It can be a little bit rude, so it's like so. Doko ni itta ka wakaru. Doko is again where. Ni is just like that preposition. So to where. Itta is past tense of go. So to where went. And then this ka is kind of makes this whole thing into a question statement that then can be acted on with more information. So it's sort of like to where went, understand, or less literally, it's kind of like, do you know, do you understand where they went, where she went? I like to kind of explain this as the ka here kind of changes the doko into the form of the question word that isn't a question. So when you say, as I said, do you know where they went? The word where is in that sentence, but it's not used as a question. The question is kind of, do you know? But yeah, the question word where is used in there, but it's do you know where they went? And that's kind of how, maybe quite a good way to think of this when you've got ka in the middle of a sentence and then kind of a question like this, wakaru or shitteru or whatever like that. Okay. Majo wa ano yama no toride to tonde ikimashita. Okay, so Majo wa, the witch, bringing up the topic of the witch. Ano yama. Yama is mountain. Ano is a way to sort of say that noun. With ano, kono, sono, and dono, you have to state a noun with it. You can't just say ano. Ano e itta. It makes no sense. So you have to put a noun with it. You could maybe think of this no as sort of linking this to a noun. So ano yama, that mountain over there, and then no, just linking that information to toride, which means like a fortress or like a hideout. Ano yama no toride to. And then to is kind of weird. It's sort of a particle on its own. To, yeah, it's kind of just a particle meaning towards or to. You could use ni, you could just use but for some reason to also exists and people use it sometimes. Tobu is the dictionary form of this verb, which means to kind of fly. I think it can sometimes mean like to jump. But yeah, te form of tobu is tonde. And then iku just kind of shows, again, a direction. She flew went to the fortress of that mountain. Yeah, that's what the witch done. Let's carry on. Okay. He's got a long text box here. Asoko wa totemo kiken dakara nori komu mae ni. Okay. Akusho no, and then there'll be more information, but let's cover this first. Asoko wa, so that place over there. Very dangerous, so, or because it's very dangerous. Nori komu mae ni. So to before you kind of enter into. That's kind of interesting, actually. Nori komu. Wouldn't it be Heidi komu? How funny. Anyway, nori komu. Yeah, I guess that nori komu. I feel like they've chosen the wrong verb there, but you know, I'm not the fluent person, so I'm not the native speaker. So, to board, to embark on, to get into a car, to ship, to man, to help. It can also mean apparently to march into or to enter. So probably march into, yeah. Mae just means like before, so before you march into. And then action no. Let's go over. Okay. Action no trainingu o shita hou ga. So action training. The no just links the words there. And then we've got shita hou. Like past, we've got past tense of suru, which is shita. And then hou ga yoi to omoimasu. Basically, this is kind of used to advise something, or to say that someone should do something. So action no training wo shita hou ga yoi to omoimasu. Oh gosh, we've got a lot going on here. So shita hou ga ii would mean doing action training would be good. Yoi is like good. To is like a quote particle, which allows it to link to omo, which is the verb for think. And then omoimasu is just the polite form of that verb. So yoi to omoimasu. So I think it would be good for you to have done action training, I suppose. Ho kind of means like direction. So I wonder if it's kind of literally like of your two options, you can either choose the direction of not doing action training, or you can choose the direction of doing action training. So I wonder if that's literally how ho functions in this case, like the direction. So the direction of having done action training is kind of ideal, is good, I think. Whereas the direction of not doing action training is not advisable. He is implying. Okay, that's a shame. That's sort of advanced up a bit. But 基本的なアクションを教えてほしい場合は Okay, so 基本 basically just means fundamental. And teki kind of means like. Or yeah, I suppose it's that sort of the sort of adjective end. Like if you think of kihon being like fundament, or yeah, fundament, is that even a word? Well, basically teki kind of makes it fundamental. It's sort of that bit of the adjective. Teki. Yeah, like pertaining to fundaments. If that, well, pertaining to foundations, I suppose. Foundational, fundamental. And then na, because it's a na adjective, we need this to attach it to a noun. So fundamental actions, oshiete hoshi. Oshieru is to teach. And if you use the te form, oshiete, and then put hoshi, which means like desirable, then it means if you wish for me to teach, if you hope for me to teach. To hope to teach, or to wish someone to teach. And then ba'ai, it means like the case. If it is the case that you wish for me to teach you the fundamental actions. And then wa at the end, just bringing up the topic of that. And I think this wa in this case is going to differentiate two options. That's sort of one function of wa. It can show sort of this is this case, but this is this case. Or to do this, but to do this, do this. It sort of has a differentiating function sometimes. And I think it's going to happen here. So e botan wo. So in the case of you wanting me to teach you the fundamental actions, e botan. And then there's no verb explicitly stated, but obviously he implies that you press A. In that case. And then he's sort of saying kihon no action wa. That's funny that this time he's gone with kihon no action. So the foundation actions, the topic of them, the foundation actions, zenbu, meaning all, shitteru toyu naraba. Shitteiru. Well, this is the kind of present continuous form of shiru, meaning to know. So, and yeah, you kind of, when you know something, you always use present continuous. In Japanese, you kind of say, I am knowing. You don't say shiru, because it just sounds, it's wrong. It's just wrong, basically. You don't say shiru to say I know. You say shitteru, shittemasu, sore wa shittemasu, or whatever. So yeah, kind of, and then toyu naraba. Naraba is kind of the conditional here, I think. So it's like if you already know, if you know all of the fundamental actions, and then toyu, I think, kind of means in this case like a vibe. It's like if it is the vibe, if it is the condition, if it is the sort of state that you know all the fundamental actions, like it can mean to say, but I don't think it could mean that here. If you're saying that you already know all the actions, or if you say you already know all the actions. I think they both work. Or if it's the vibe that you already know all the actions. B botan wo oshite kudasai. So we explicitly stated what to do. B botan wo oshite kudasai. Osu is to press. I think we've probably seen this before. So please press the B button. Yeah. Press A. Bokura iroiro oshiete hoshii no dakedo dou sureba. Bokura. This is another way to pluralize. So boku, you'll notice Banjo saying boku as a pronoun that's suitable for himself, and then he's pluralizing with ra, which includes Kazooie into it as well. So we. So again, you don't have to worry about your pronoun fitting both of you. It only has to fit yourself. Bokura, and then iro basically means various. Yeah, various. Oshiete hoshi. So we kind of desire you to teach us various things. No dakedo. Again, we've got this kind of explanatory language of no da, and then the kedo, just sort of softening it down so that it doesn't sound too requesty, doesn't sound too forceful, doesn't sound too demanding, I suppose. And then do sureba, and I think this is a shortening of do sureba I. Sureba is like the conditional form of suru, so it's like if we do, how, or how. Yeah, how if we act. Yeah, how if we act is probably the best literal translation. How if we act, but usually you'd end it with E, so it's like, how should I act for things to be acceptable? Which is kind of, again, very literal and clunky. So you could best translate this as simply, how should we act, I suppose. Yeah. Ne Botoru-san. Ne, I think, is just like saying, hey. It just kind of gets attention from the person. Ne Botoru-san. So ne Botoru-san. And then you sort of say what you want to say after that, I guess. But yeah, he's saying it at the end for some reason. I guess it looked like maybe he wasn't listening or something. So I don't know. But he's going ne Botoru-san. So yo, bottles. このエリアにはいくつかのモグラ塚 really? モグラ塚があります。Okay. So この area, this area, には kind of the topic of in this area. いくつ means like how many, but then いくつか just kind of means several. It kind of doesn't specify how many. It just means several, some plural amount sort of thing. And then we've got no here to link it to the noun, which is mogurazuka, which I guess is just a molehill. So yeah, several molehills exist. Arimas. There are several molehills. Molehills. 見つけたらその横で B ボタンを押して We'll go with that first. 見つけたら Tara is interesting. It can mean like if, but it can also mean when. So 見つける is to find. So 見つけたら is like when you find them or if you find them. その横で So I guess sono is just referring to the molehills that he's mentioned. So yoko is beside, and then de is, like I said, when you do a verb at a place, you need to use de. You can't do a verb at a place if you use ni. It just doesn't work. So yeah. So next to the molehills, next to those, press the B button, and again we've got this te form just because we want the sentence to continue on afterwards. So B botan wo oshite, and then watashi wo yonde kudasai. Watashi wo, so yeah, the wo just marking the object. In this case, he's the object. Yobu means to call or to summon, to call someone. So watashi wo yonde kudasai. So please call me. By pressing B next to those mole hills that I was just talking about. And then ja, mata. Ja just means like with that being said, with this as the conclusion kind of thing. Mata means again. So like see you again is kind of a shortening of see you again, or catch you later, I guess. And he's gone. I don't think I can run around in circles on Banjo Kazooie as well as I could on Zelda, but never mind. Alright, yeah, that's that. So, yeah, remember the text document in the description. I hope that's going to be useful. Patreon exists. You can contribute if you want. Also, I do teach Japanese, so if you'd like some lessons, you can look in the description for a link to contact me. But yeah, that's this part, so thanks for watching. Hope it's been worth it, and I'll see you next time.